should turn the volume down. Turn the volume
Oh, yeah.
down.
All right, hey guys, we are back. Sorry, we had massive technical difficulties. We are all over the place, but we're live on the mountain, so it's great to have you here. Sorry for our silliness. That's how we roll on the mountain sometimes. But hey, we want to get into basketball to start.
Yep.
We see we got some questions on the chat, which we love. We're going to get to those in a little bit as well. But let's get into to men's basketball. I'm going to start with the Mountain West. Then I know you have some stuff, I think, with the Big Ten basketball. And then we'll do what we do, football. But we got to talk basketball to start. So,
And after we get through those, we'll get to those questions in the chat.
yeah, we want to get to some of those questions as well, for sure. So, the men's basketball player of the year, newcomer of the year, Utah State's great Osabar. Awesome job by him. He was one of the players that came from Montana State with Coach. And he's just had a phenomenal season this year. So shout out to him. The second player I want to do a shout out is the men's defensive player of the year from San Diego State, Lamont Butler. Again, fantastic year for him as well. Then we get to the freshman of the year, to which there were two. The New Mexico Lobos had JT Toppin, just an amazing star down there. I know there's a little bit of concern about whether or not he's going to be able to stay or they're able to keep him down in New Mexico, but fantastic freshman year for him. And then also UNLV had Deedon Thomas Jr. as a freshman of the year. And then we're going to get to the All-Mountain West first team. I think we have a slide for this one as well. Shout out to these five players. From Boise State, we have Tyson Dengenhart. From Colorado State, we have Isaiah Stevens. From San Diego State, we have Jaden Ledee, and then two players from Utah State. We have Darius Brown, who I mentioned on our last episode. He is a phenomenal player to watch. Both ends of the court, especially defensive. Awesome defensive player. And then, of course, great Osabar is one of the All-Mountain West first-team players as well. And then no surprise here, the coach of the year, rightfully so, Danny Sprinkle. Fantastic job. His first year there with the Aggies, pulling them all the way to a regular season title. If anybody saw our pick episode, you know I have them winning the entire deal this year for the tournament. Wish them all the best. But I wanted to, go over some of the honors here with the Mountain West. Those came out here earlier this week. And just as a reminder, the women's final is tonight, UNLV versus San Diego State. That's 10:30 on the East Coast. It's 7:30 on the West Coast. And we had our first round in the Mountain West too. Wyoming, I got my Steamboat shirt on, but they lost.
Yeah.
CSU won by 10, beat San Jose State, and New Mexico just completely annihilating Air Force right now, just demolishing them. So that's what's going on with the Mountain West hoops. What do you got in the Big Ten, Steve?
Yeah, so let's do an update on the Big Ten. I don't know how many Big Ten fans we got on tonight. Seems like the chat is dominated by Mountain West fans and our FSU and ACC fans. Okay. So I will say, if you're here, if you're an FSU fan, ACC fan, we towards the end of this, we'll get to some things in the chat, and I have a little tease of some info that I just put into a ACC episode that's going to be dropping here soon.
Yep.
And I'll give our live chat fans, I'll give you guys that. You'll be the first ones to hear that information here if you stick around. So first of all, Big Ten basketball. JY, first I wanted to touch on, the women's tournament just ended this last weekend. Iowa came away. They beat Nebraska 94-89 in overtime. Just amazing game.
Yeah.
Caitlin Clark just keeps setting records. Points, 3-pointers, all kinds of stuff. But what I thought was really amazing, the game was on CBS, the championship game.
Okay.
It drew over 3 million viewers, was the average rating. I think 3.3 million.
Okay.
And peaks at 4.5 million viewers for a women's basketball game. Just absolutely awesome. The ratings have been through the roof this year, all across women's basketball, not just in the Big Ten with Caitlin Clark, SEC basketball. So it's really great seeing these women's sports doing well. But the men's tournament kicks off tonight. Rutgers and Maryland, Penn State and Michigan. I'm the Penn State fan. I can't believe. So Michigan, 14 seed, How far they have fallen, I just cannot. I absolutely can't believe it. I think Penn State will likely beat them tonight. Who knows?
Okay.
But just amazing. Penn State's never been known really as the basketball school.
Yeah.
I think they're on the right track and growing. But boy, Michigan, how far they've fallen. Just amazing. And even Maryland. Maryland's down in that bottom group before. They were a historically good program.
Absolutely.
I want to go over a couple of awards. Purdue's Zach Edey, Big Ten Player of the Year for the second year in a row. Absolutely amazing player. To me, one of the greatest college basketball players of all time. Just an amazing player. And then Penn State's Ace Baldwin, Defensive Player of the Year, was the transfer from Richmond. Came in 1 year in the Big Ten. A lot of people said, oh, he's not going to be able to hold up in the Big Ten. He's not physical enough. Well, he comes in and locks down Defensive Player of the Year, which I thought was pretty amazing.
You got to be pretty physical if you're going to be a Defensive Player of the Year.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that's all for my basketball update. I did want to do a quick wrestling update.
Oh, let's do this. Wrestling.
Right. Big Ten fans were wrestling fans, and even there's some Mountain West schools that wrestle in the Big 12.
Right.
So
Wyoming.
Wyoming.
Yep.
I think Air Force, maybe San Diego State. So, anyways, for our wrestling fans out there, Penn State went through, swept the team competition, or won the team competition way out ahead. Yep. I think they finished like 60 points ahead of Iowa, maybe 30, 40 points ahead of Michigan, who was in second place, and I think Nebraska had third. They swept all the individual championship awards, the individual awards for the season, including Cale Sanderson winning the Big Ten Coach of the Year, no surprise. But just a really great tournament, Big Ten wrestling, and we're planning on doing a preview episode of the national tournament in a couple weeks. So if you're a wrestling fan, look out for that.
Yeah, I know. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I watched the Big Tens.
Yep.
Penn State went cray-cray again because that's what they do up there with Cale Sanderson. They just are a juggernaut. Holy cow. But the Nationals are always a special event. Yep. So
JY and I got to go to the Pennsylvania State Championship wrestling. Then we watched the Big Tens. Now we watch a national. So for our wrestling fans, if there's any out there, stay tuned for that episode.
Well, let's get into some football. We ready?
Yeah, let's go.
You want me to start with the Mountain West?
Let's do it.
All right, so I'm going to talk recruiting. There's some good information. We haven't really done anything on recruiting to any sort of significance here on the Mountain. So I'm going to focus this live episode for us on the Mountain West recruiting. I'm going to rank all of these, all 12 schools. We see a lot of chatter on comments. Thank you guys for doing that. And, Steve, I'm going to just do some shout-outs because we got some longtime viewers, some legit Big Mountain fans, and we appreciate these guys. Steven's on here again. He's been a subscriber from, day two, one, I think. Just crazy. So thank you, Steven. He is an Ohio fan. Okay. I'm a fan of the MAC. So as a fellow G5 fan, I appreciate that a lot. I see we have fans asking about the Pac. We've got some FSU people on here. Mm-hmm. We're going to get to some of those questions later on. We will talk FSU. We will talk Pac. But we're going to focus on what we focus on first, or start what we focus on first. The Mountain West and the Big Mountain.
Squeezed Money. I think he was on the chat in our last live episode. He's here again. So shout out to him.
Chad, I know he's been following a lot of us. A lot of good comments from Chad on some of the FSU stuff as well. I don't mean to miss anybody, but hey, let's get into the Mountain West here. So, going into recruiting, this is from 247 Sports. So they do rankings of all these schools. So that's where I'm getting the rankings from, is 247. Just go over some brief information on every one of these. Let's start at the top. I'm going to start with kind of what they say is the highest recruiting class in the Mountain West. Boise State, no surprise, 66th overall. Pretty good.
That's pretty good.
They are continually one of the standards here for high recruiting classes in the Mountain West, so that's not surprising. And 66th, I mean, that ranks them right up with a lot of power schools, right? So great recruiting class for them. I'm not going to get into names of players tonight. I'm going to do another episode where we maybe break down some of the top recruits in the Mountain West. I'm just talking in general.
I guarantee you that puts them above probably at least a handful of Big Ten schools in recruiting. I can almost guarantee it.
Sure. All right. Well, I didn't look at it, but I would probably agree with you knowing some of the Big Ten schools. Not a knock on them, but yeah, kind of is. So let's get to number 2, not too far behind Boise. Colorado State, the Rams at 72nd. Jay Norvell here continuing his ability to recruit very, very strong talent. Again, putting this team in well ahead of many Power 5 school programs at 72nd. Number 3, only 2 behind CSU, San Diego State, which I was anxious to see how they would do. Obviously, they had the coaching change. Hoke left. Lewis is in. A lot of buzz about Lewis coming out of the Sanders program there, and all the fare for all that he excuse me, that he gets. But well done here for San Diego State. Having that turnover and you're going to hear me say that as we get to the bottom of the Mountain West. Didn't work out well for some teams. Did work out well for San Diego State. Strong recruiting class, mainly out of South California. But I will say a lot of people transferring out, too, of San Diego State because of some of that turning over. Yes, they got some players in, but some very strong players going out. So we'll see what happens with them. They're going to be hard for me to honestly rank going into next year. Coaching turnover, a lot of player turnover. They're going to be tough to kind of get a hold on here early on.
I mean, next year on the field, that's a crapshoot. You know, they're totally rebuilt. Really, to me, the on-field results, the wins and losses don't really matter.
Yeah.
Give the fans something to be excited about, to have some hope for the future. And you know, recruiting is the lifeblood of college football. So you get a new coach, you want to have that new coach bounce.
Yeah.
So if they keep bringing in talent, the fans will come.
Well, I think they definitely have had a new coach bounce. I don't know if it'll show up on the field in year one necessarily, although they are at the bottom of the Mountain West right now, so it won't take much to bounce a little bit up maybe. Number 4 here, UNLV, 77th. So here, 66, 72nd, 74th, 77th. A lot of strong recruiting classes here in the Mountain West. Coach Odom there at UNLV looking to continue his winning ways. This class is near the top of the G5. You know, still, again, talking P5 status with their recruiting class. So well done out there in UNLV world. Number 5, the Fresno State Bulldogs, the team you've taken a liking to here recently.
Yep.
They're 85th overall. Good class. Certainly the upper level of G5 here, and another good class. And then the last group in the top 100, the last school in the top 100, number 6, San Jose State, 95th overall. And I found it odd. They do some comparables. The only one you're going to hear me do a comparable on is this school, because it talks about one of the schools we have been following quite a bit, and that is the Oregon State Ducks. So they have the San Jose State recruiting class comparable to the Oregon State recruiting class.
I correct me if I'm wrong. I believe San Jose State was one of they lost their coach.
They did.
Went to Arizona. Mm-hmm. And it was one of the later moves in the coaching cycle. So
right.
The new coach had to really start late.
Yes, and you know they in terms of this class, their top several players are really, really strong. It doesn't have the depth then, and I think that hurts their ranking here. They do have some very strong upper level talent. The depth maybe not there. Going then, we're halfway. We're 6 out of 12. What do you got?
Squeezed Money says
What do you say?
San Diego State needs butts in the seats. And
Amen
I agree
to
with
that.
Yeah.
Holy crap. It was obnoxious to look at that and go, where's everybody at? And, you know, some people say it's because they charge so freaking much down there.
Well,
Matt
Kelly says he's planning on going down to the stadium, down to see the Beavs versus the Aztecs.
Awesome.
So he can give us a report.
That'd be fantastic. I'd love to. He can count how many people are in the stands, maybe. Guarantee there's probably more Oregon State people than there is Aztec fans, because unless something changes, it was awful last year.
I'm going to give them, like you talked about last year at the beginning of the season, how fans were not. You had that pegged to how fans were pissed off at Brady Hoke. They're ready to give him the heave-ho. So I'm going to give San Diego State fans the benefit of the doubt, and they're going to show up this year with a new coach and show them how excited they are.
We'll see. Let's get to the second half. Right here at the top, my Cowboys, Wyoming, 106. So they're out of the 100, or top 100, just outside. And they typically don't recruit great in Wyoming. They're good at producing quality players and developing players. They've never been a great recruiting school there. Now, again, another school that's changing over coaches as well. This one within the program, you know, they ride for the brand, as they like to say, so not quite as an upheaval as some of these other schools we've been talking about. But they do have more 3 stars in this class than normal. Again, they're not getting that top end talent that you're going to get at the Boise's and the San Diego States, but a lot of quality here with the Pokes.
Just need to get those recruits out to spend a night in Laradice.
That's right.
I hear the bar scene on Friday nights is pretty great downtown.
I've been told we got to hit the bar scene if we get out there, so we'll see what we can do. All right, number 8, and this one surprised me, Steve, just in terms of being 8 out of 12 in the Mountain West. They're 114th overall, so definitely starting to dip down. Remember, 134 FBS teams, right? So we're 114. But number 8, Hawaii. Kind of a surprising, again, of where they're at within the Mountain West. Yeah. Tough place to recruit. You've talked about that before. They've focused heavily in local recruiting, in Hawaii recruiting, and also apparently they in Las Vegas recruiting. So 114th, not great, but I'm gonna give it up for the Rainbows, the Fighting Rainbows out there. Rainbow Warriors, say the right thing. Rainbow Warriors. It is what it is. You're in Hawaii. You can only do so much. But hey, 8th out of 12 isn't awful for the Mountain West.
Sure.
Let's go to number 9. One that I think surprised me the opposite way. So Hawaii maybe surprised me to the good. This one maybe I was a little surprised how low they were. 9th in the Mountain West, 120th overall. The Aggies of Utah State, we've been riding how high they are with basketball right now. Not so strong in terms of their recruiting class here for football. Just not able to get a lot. They have been more focused on transfers from junior colleges and things like that here recently. So you can only focus your efforts on so much. They're kind of focusing a little bit more on the transfers. Surprising to me.
They made a coaching change too, right?
Nevada did.
Oh, Nevada did.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
So I'm a little surprised, and we'll get to Nevada. They're number 10, 125th overall. That's 125th out of 134 FBS teams. So eking to stay into recruiting with FBS, still struggling because of multiple coaching changes, right? Norvell left, then the coach, I'm drawing a blank, he was only there for 2 years, then they kicked him out, and they got another. And so, that's what's going to happen when you have no solidity at your coaching ranks. I feel bad for the Wolfpack here, but still struggling to get a team on the field and really focusing on transfers to put a competitive team on the field. It's kind of what the hand that they've been given right now down there. The one, I know everybody's huge with Bronco Mendenhall down in the Lobo land. Yeah. But number 11, New Mexico, again, another coaching change. My goodness, I'm a broken record tonight. Coaching changes. 201st in terms of their recruiting class. We'll see what happens. I know they're super duper high on Mendenhall. I am too. I'm high on Mendenhall. But it's going to take him some time. I saw something I was reading something. Somebody was talking about a bowl bid this next year. If he can make that team get to a bowl in year 1, given this recruiting class and where they've been, that dude should make $1 billion because I don't think it's going to happen down there in year 1. But hey, he's got his work cut out for him. Great coach. Needs time to get the players involved. Yep. Last one, no surprise, Air Force. I kind of hate even talking about them. It's just a completely different type of recruiting and different type of player that they're recruiting. So I hate to even say it, but I will. Number 12, 172 overall. It is what it is.
Honestly, with the service academies, it's better to kind of compare them to themselves, to each other, than to other teams, because like you said, total different teams.